The Philadelphia Eagles have a few very important decisions coming up at the running back position. Boston Scott, the Mr. Do-It-All of our running back room. He's a restricted free agent this year. Miles Sanders, former second round draft choice. Last year of a rookie contract. What kind of money is he going to want? How much money should the Eagles invest at running back? And what are the options if we look elsewhere? Let's talk about this, guys. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on in NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? My name is steveheitter. This is Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, everybody. So I've been taking a lot of time. 129 running backs broken down, guys, since 2017 through this current draft class, including 26 players from this draft class alone. It's a lot of numbers. There's a lot of things to consider looking through this. But I've learned a lot about some of the running backs. And I got to be honest with you. The first lesson I've learned, it's a really difficult decision when you talk about paying running backs. Look, Aaron Jones is a good player. Alvin Kamara is a good player. CMC is a really good player. Joe Mixon's a good player. Those are all examples of running backs who got paid big time. Derrick Henry. The question is, where's the Super Bowl rings with any of these guys? That's where this conversation gets really difficult, which is how much impact do they have over your offense? How far can that investment pay for your overall construction of the roster offensively? Here we are, guys, talking running backs. So I'm going to give you my theory. I'm going to give you my perspective on this, which is I'm not saying we should not at least enter negotiations with Miles Sanders to get a feel for what Miles Sanders and his agent are going to want. There's a cost-reward kind of structure to this, right? I mean, for every action we take, there's a subsequent action we can no longer take. So we have to keep that in mind with some of these contract structures. What's the money? Are we talking top 10 running back? Because if that's the case, guys, I got to tell you straightforward, I'm out. I don't want to be involved with signing a running back, and it's nothing against Miles Sanders. I think he's a really good running back. I think when you look at plays above 15 yards, what they call breakaway plays, if you take his total amount and you weigh that against his total attempts, he has like a 7.6 ratio, 7.6% ratio. It's quite high, guys. I mean, Miles Sanders does have the home run element to his football game. With that said, I just feel like the running back position, and I don't know if it's just because of the fact of how much is set up for the running back from the offensive line, or if it's really just an embarrassment of riches coming out of college football to the pros, but production has just been really easy to replace for teams. And that puts you in a difficult position when you're trying to assess what you should do with the running back spot. Now, there's a few guys that have caught my attention. And what I've done is I like to start with somewhere like a basis. Where's the basis I can look through to try to judge a running back? This doesn't mean it's the full story. It's a starting point. I like to look at YCO. So yards after a back has been contacted, right? Because now I want to see, once you've been hit and once we're just judging your talent level, what do you do? Sometimes your O-line can make you look really good, and that's the thing. You got to remove that from the factor. And I do think that there's a slightly strong correlation, but not, I wouldn't say there's an apples to apples or 100% correlation to the higher the YCO, especially above about 3.48, the better it translates from college to the pros. Like I said, it's not 100% guaranteed, guys. I can tell you from breaking down these 129 running backs, there are outliers, and there's always outliers. Some of the more notable outliers that I broke down here has to do with Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen he's not a contact balance back. It's not his game. I wouldn't even say that he's a premier back, but for the role he plays, he's a very good running back. James Conner had his moment in the sun. Christian McCaffrey would qualify towards the bottom third. He's right there on that cusp of the bottom third in terms of this measurement. Darius Geis had his moment in the sun. To be fair, guys like Leonard Fournette qualify for the bottom third. Leonard Fournette's had a spectacular career. He's a really good football player. Wayne Gallman and Ito Smith and Brian Hill. There's a lot of these kind of like, Alexander Madison. A lot of these situational kind of second back, RB2 positions that fell into this position, right? Damian Harris has been a really good running back throughout the years. So there's definitely been these outliers, if you will, to what I'm about to say here. There's no doubt about that, guys. But with that said, when you look at the correlation of getting past the mean, so the mean is 3.48. That's the average, right? That's right around 65. So 129 guys broken down, right around 65 is that median area. And right from the jump, who are two of the backs that are in that middle range? A.J. Dillon, current running back for the Green Bay Packers, and then David Montgomery, running back for the Chicago Bears. So you can kind of see how some of these things are already stacking up. By the time you get to the upper third being the 43rd ranked running back forward, that's where you start to see guys like Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon and Miles Sanders and Marlon Mack and Cam Akers. My bad, guys. Jonathan Taylor and Aaron Jones and Chris Carson, J.K. Dobbins, Sony Michel, Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell was pretty much the steal of the last draft class from the running back position, guys. Josh Jacobs and Dalvin Cook and Zach Moss. Been a little disappointing in terms of the pros. I mean, he's still a pro. I mean, he's a good running back, but I think a lot of us suspected Zach Moss was going to be better than when he's been so far in the league, especially the ridiculous numbers he had in college. Michael Carter and Rashad Penny and Javonte Williams, former UNC running back. Darnell Henderson in his crazy career at Memphis. I mean, he had a 6.16 YCO marker, guys, in college. I mean, he was just ridiculous in college. You can definitely see there's a correlation in terms of, like, if you're in that upper third, right, there's 43 backs or so, that basically begins with an average of about 3.78 yards per contact after contact's initiated forward. You see these guys translate a lot better to the NFL. So I just want to give you guys a couple of prospects real quick before I jump off of here. I'm going to talk about a couple of guys that I've been kind of watching the film on, breaking things down, that I think, depending on the direction the Eagles take, I'm not saying they're going to go in the draft. I'm not saying these dudes are going to get drafted, guys. I'm saying they strike my interest, right? Which is to begin with, Kenneth Walker, I think, is he's a really good number one running back. In terms of all the YCO stats from the past, 5 previous draft classes and this current one, he has the 10th highest YCO of any running back that's come out. Top 10, guys. That tells me that he's probably going to be a back end of the first round, probably most certainly somewhere in the second round. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't go really high in the second round or in the back end of the first round. It wouldn't shock me at all. But I want to give you a guy that I think is going underneath the radar. You guys know I like Tyler Algier, and he's in this conversation. Tyler Algier has a 4.16 YCO marker, which is very good. It's actually top 15. He ranks 14th. But I'm going to give you 3 names that maybe you haven't heard me say so much yet. Number 1 is Utah running back T.J. Pledger, a 4.30 YCO marker. It's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't have known to look at this young man without really seeing the advanced analytics. So what this does, guys, is it sends me into their film. It makes me want to know, are these 2-minute offense backs? Are these short yardage backs? What's the situational utility of this player? Or is this a real 3-down running back we're looking at here? Another guy, Jerion Ely. Another young man that's top 20, 15th overall, guys, coming out of Ole Miss, 4.14. He's a guy that I'll have my eye on this draft class. And then, last but not least, I'll give you 2 more guys real quick, guys. Kennedy Brooks from Oklahoma, 3.95. Oklahoma's kind of hard to break down, guys, because they're definitely one of these running back by committee type organizations. So you do have to kind of weigh in the amount of attempts the guy's getting, and is that maybe skewing the numbers a little bit? And then Abram Smith from Baylor, 3.92 YCO marker. That interests me. Those guys interest me because they haven't been talked about a lot. I'm going to give you one guy that's below the median. He's below that 3.48 marker that I think is going to hit in this draft class, right? So he doesn't have the numbers that I'm telling you about, but I still think he's going to hit just by his film. Alabama running back Brian Robinson Jr. He's got a 3.29 marker, which isn't bad. It's like right where CMC was as a collegiate athlete. He's a good pass pro back. You can use him on third downs. He can pick up the blitz. He can catch the football. He can run with some contact. He can run with power. There is a little explosion in him. I won't say he's the most explosive back. He's not, but there is explosion to what he does. He's the guy that he interests me. And then I'll give you two guys that I'm a little skeptical of. I'm not saying they're going to be bust, guys. This is not definitive proof of anything. It's just telling you where some of these guys lie in terms of how the numbers stacked up. Two guys I'm a little skeptical of, both come from the state of Iowa. Iowa State's running back Breece Hall, who ranks 114 out of 129 of these backs in terms of YCO. 2.83 marker. Doesn't mean he's shot. Doesn't mean he's cooked. Let's be real. Leonard Fournette had a 2.85 marker. He turned out to be just fine. He can handle contact. You know? With that said, I mean, it definitely makes me want to go through his film and really take my time looking at him. The other guy I want to talk about, another, from Iowa University, Tyler Goodson. 2.30. I will say this. Nobody has worked out below a 2.6. He would strike me as a guy that has a lot to overcome. And to be fair, he ranks 129 out of 129 of the prospects I've broken down. All right, guys, leave me your thoughts down below. If you want to know a certain player, like, hey, Gate, what's their marker? Like, where do they rank here? You didn't say this person's name. I got them all written down, guys, all 129 of them. So just leave your comments down below. What do you think? What do you think about Miles Sanders? Would you extend that contract? I mean, what's your interest level in bringing Miles back? And then last but not least, what about a guy like Boston Scott? Free agency. Do you guys have any free agent, kind of wish list here at running back? All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all's time and attention. I'll see you guys on the next video.